of articles, and one is a 404 page not found.
I gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
So, hi,
Hit it.
folks. We're finally live. We've been
Yeah.
chatting for like 5 minutes.
We
So,
didn't get to talk all day. She was passed out.
that I was very entitled to it as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And she's been working hard, and I think it just catches up with you sometimes, and you need to crash and rest and sleep to rejuvenate.
It could be worse.
This is true. You could have been sick on top of it.
That is so true. I just feel like I'm dead to the world and
Mm.
barely functioning.
You'll be okay. You just woke up. You'll get back in the groove. Don't worry.
I don't know about that. Today's been a weird, really odd day.
Weird. Did you have any dreams that you recall?
No, I was out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me out cold.
Um,
Let me get these notifications sent out where they need to go.
Please don't yawn.
I have no choice.
I know, but you'll drag me under, and I could go really easy. We could both just sleep during the live and see, what transpires.
That will get us in trouble.
Oh, okay.
That would get us in trouble.
Gotcha.
Turns out you're not supposed to do that kind of stuff while you're live streaming videos and all that.
Really?
Yeah, it can
Hmm.
get you in trouble.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Hmm.
Where's this thing? There it is. Oh my god.
No yawning. Stop.
I don't have a choice.
No, but your yawns are damn contagious. I told you. Well,
Well,
you
then
get
I'll just stay muted and you can talk all day.
no. Just when you have to yawn, mute, and then we'll know that
Yeah,
you're yawning.
that's really practical, sure. Every time you take a breath, just mute.
There you go.
It
That
doesn't
works.
work. Okay, it looks like we are good to go.
Okay.
Hold on. You wanted this picture up first.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Nope, not that one. This one. This little stinker Bob.
Yep. That's the
That's the
problem
real
for the
boss
whole
of
channel right
everything.
there. You're looking at him. However, that's what a 3-hour sleep after fighting with his meanie does. Now he's laughing to our favorite show, Sesame Street. We'll see how long that lasts. But
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be more pleased. This is the second day in a row we got 3 hours in. He did win Battle 3, which was cuddled up against me, but we did have 2 bassinet battles, to which I won those. But we'll just keep at it next week, and maybe we'll get him actually sleeping in the bassinet. But
Well, oh, you do know last
the
night I
only
made
other
that
issue is,
video for.
he's waking up as soon as we're ready to go live. So I got to try to work the schedule out just a tad different. So,
You know, I sent you the
but I
link
be
last night
happy.
to the video.
Meanie be happy.
I
And
don't think she can hear
obviously
me.
he's happy, so I'm not going to complain.
Cannot be heard. Lovely.
So, what do you got going on,
Um,
Crazy Bee? How did your daughter do yesterday?
I guess it doesn't matter because I don't think I'm heard. I don't think my audio's all jacked up. I'm gonna have to
And
leave
did
and
we
come
lose
back.
you, or am I lost?
It's a me thing.
Crazy Bee. I guess I'm going out and coming back in.
Well, that didn't matter because she left and it was me who was supposed to leave, but whatever. Um I've got to get everything set back up again. She'll be back eventually. She couldn't hear me, so I figured I'd leave and come back, and well, that did no good because she left. It was my fault.
Going on.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Well, that was strange. It was my stupid end, me being an idiot.
You're
Screwed it
not
up
an
when I
idiot.
kicked in.
Just you're. It's fine. It's all good. Hey, Vanilla. What is it?
Um,
Well, a fresh start. Yes, it is.
yep. That's all you can do today.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Thank
oh,
goodness
I
it's
needed
Friday.
to get the first links pulled up.
Okay.
Shit. Well, because I had to leave and come back, it kind of just said fuck you and kicked me out of everything. Okay.
One moment, please. We are experiencing technical difficulties.
Tell me something new.
Please
Okay.
hold for the next available operator who really doesn't
The
give
next
a shit.
available operator will be in tomorrow. Bye. Okay. So, I lost track of where the fuck we were.
Mm, we skipped the rest of that audio piece on Trump. And did we have any other pieces on Trump? I thought I sent one final thing on him.
Yeah,
Uh,
the
oh,
Victor Hanson Davis, but you said you didn't want to use it on the Trump one. You wanted to use it for something else.
yeah.
And I
Okay,
don't know
that's
if you've
fine.
changed.
Yeah, that's fine. I couldn't
I
remember
don't
what.
remember
Uh,
what the hell you said for though. That's the problem.
that's okay. I'll look at it and we'll figure it out. Then what do you got up next then, Crazy B?
Videos you sent over from Tuesday that never got used. The Thomas Sowell ones, the Cash Jordan
Uh-huh.
ones, and some Twitter posts.
Okay. The
So
Thomas Sowell ones. I really like Thomas Sowell. He is especially on the conservative end, he is touted as an expert in his field, and he really has some good points to make. Uh, and I think it's always worthwhile going to him, uh, Victor Davis Hanson. Who else would you recommend, Crazy B, to go to check info out?
a history book,
Mm?
unedited by the government.
Does such a thing exist?
It does. You just got to go back to the early 1900s history books.
The 1900s?
National Archives might have a few.
Okay. That would be interesting to check that out. You know that? That would
I
really.
just don't trust too many people to not be biased one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. So you want to say 1900 and before would be more accurate than 1900 and.
Find newspapers from the time, and
Yeah.
you will have the most accurate account at the moment
Yeah.
because history just edits it as we go.
Right.
So yeah, I say go back, try and find some archived newspaper reports from the generate that era, and magic. You don't have to deal with misinformation, lies, or anything like that. No biases,
Mm,
except the biases at the time. And excuse the language because it's not going to be very politically friendly.
yeah. What would you say? Well, you're saying that you don't think it was that biased. Uh, did it lean one way or another?
Depends. Like if during the Civil War era, if you were in the South, the newspaper articles would be Southern leaning.
Right.
If you were in the North, it would be Northern leaning.
Right. I think, yeah, but those ones would be obvious. What about just in generalities?
In generalities, there wasn't much politics didn't dominate everything back then.
Yeah.
That's why it was so much nicer. You look
Okay.
at someone cross-eyed and it's a political reason. You look
Right.
at someone and you sneeze for some fluke and it's
It's
a
a
political
political, right.
reason. Back
Well,
then,
could
not everything was politics.
yeah, well, it could be because of the length of your eyelashes today. So, I mean, I might
Hmm.
give you a sideways eye, you know?
But at least it's not politics. Back
Right.
now, everything is politically
Uh,
motivated.
correct.
Back then, the weather was not politically motivated. The
Right.
weather is politically motivated. You can't even go and watch whether you're going to have rain today or not without there being some kind of political BS in
Uh-huh.
it.
Absolutely true. It's all climate change related.
Or you're cross-eyed. Yeah, born cross-eyed. And then all of a sudden it's politics. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck?
Hey, Shu.
Yes. I
Shu, the
just, yeah.
score today. Yeah, Shu, the score today is 3-1. I'm winning, but it's rough. It's rough out there in these streets.
You mean the living room Sesame Streets?
Uh huh. Yeah. Don't you hear it going in the background? Meow, 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 meow. Huh? Don't you hear it going meow? Oh my God, I need professional help. Help me. Somebody, please come take me away.
Shoot, I'm from the South. I mean, come on. Awesome. There's
Hey,
always a
Art.
political bias. It's just more pronounced in certain areas and at certain times in history. Yes. If you want to know anything about what was happening in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, well, nothing ever happens in Ohio except that one random train derailment. But still, the fact is, if you want to know what happened in this small town in Ohio, go get a newspaper. Don't trust social media.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like that sometimes. It's streets. It's rough on them streets.
Uh-huh. Here, baby.
Yeah.
There you
Uh,
go.
so yeah, I suggest if you want to know anything about historical importance, find a newspaper from that era
Right.
because 9 times out of 10 you ain't gonna get shit. I mean, oh, the reconciliation statue from the North and the South was put up on this day for the purpose of uniting America. And what do you get in today about the same statue? Racist assholes trying to kill us all. It must
Right.
be
Right.
destroyed.
Right. Oh, what are you squawking about, huh?
Or get a friend in Ohio. Good luck. There aren't enough people in Ohio. What, buddy?
That the history books at the school were like really thick, but we didn't learn like all of them.
Yeah, because they're idiots.
No, like
The schools, yeah.
throughout elementary and high school, we learned about like Christopher Columbus. I'm sitting like we learned that back in like elementary school. Why do I have to learn that again?
Because a lot of kids weren't paying attention, parents weren't reinforcing it, and they have to go over it again.
That's bogus.
Yes, for
Why should I
people
have to
like
deal with
you,
that?
yes, I agree. It's not fair to you, but you got held back because others couldn't pass.
Come on, up,
Yes.
up. So big. Come on, trouble. Come on.
Yes, exactly. And again, I hate biases. But I will point out, the Arabs and the Japanese really didn't like us all that much either.
Right.
It was kind of a equal hatred towards each other. But yeah, that's the fundamentals. So do you want me to start with said video or
Yeah.
said
Why don't we start
articles?
with the Thomas Sowell stuff?
Okay. I did my best to get these down from like 20 something minutes.
Right.
So be patient if my editing sucks royally.
People often talk about compassion, but too often that compassion is limited to feelings, not consequences. And when we let emotion drive public policy, especially in moments of chaos, what we get is not justice, but theater. What we're seeing in Los Angeles this June, the protests, the arrests, the deployment of the National Guard, it isn't new. Its history refused to learn from it. Let's begin with the facts. On June 6, 2025, federal immigration agents conducted a series of workplace enforcement operations across Los Angeles, targeting known hubs for undocumented labor. Dozens of individuals were arrested, including notably David Huerta, a well-known labor organizer. Predictably, the outrage that followed was not centered around whether the law had been broken, but rather on the optics, the feelings, and the political capital to be gained. Instead of measured analysis, we saw a barrage of statements condemning the federal government. Protesters flooded the streets of downtown Los Angeles, some throwing concrete and fireworks at officers. In response, the president federalized the National Guard to secure federal property and prevent further escalation. But according to many Democrats, this act of enforcement was not a matter of public order, it was tyranny. This is not a new phenomenon. In the Vision of the Anointed, I describe the mindset of the self-appointed saviors of society, the intellectuals and political elites who believe they are morally entitled to override laws, ignore facts, and dismiss consequences in pursuit of their vision. These individuals are rarely held accountable for the outcomes of their ideas because their intentions, however disconnected from reality, are cloaked in moral rhetoric. They
I like that he does call them out for their stupidity.
Yes, definitely.
Like, oh, this is not about accountability. This is just, I want instant gratification, and who cares what the outcomes are.
Right.
I got to give him props on that. More
That's one
people
reason
should
why I
be.
like them.
Uh huh. And oh, but by the way, he's a self-hating, whatever the hell they call him, because he doesn't agree with them type
Right.
of person. So
Right.
I won't even repeat the racist things the left has to say about people like him, but
Mm-hmm.
they call us the racist. It's so freaking hilarious. I got to point out that I could care less if my neighbor likes me, let alone another country of people who know nothing about me, especially that I feel this way.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's me too. Like, I'm just done giving a rat's rear about all of that.
Yeah.
And when people try dragging me in to it, like, oh my God, Israel's so bad. Like, have y'all heard what Iran has had to say about America? So, Israel kind of doing something about it, whether it's right or not, is not for me to judge. They must have felt it was necessary after what, almost 40 years of this going on. And it's like, yeah, I don't give two rats rears. That's for them over there. As long as we don't get dragged into it, it's between them, not us.
Correct.
So why am I worried about what's going on over there? Other than jokingly saying, what if they actually do have nuclear weapons in one of those underground things, and by Israel blowing it up, they actually detonate
Right.
the one working
Mm-hmm.
bomb they have, and then we have nuclear fallout anyways.
Right.
Um, you know,
Then we're gonna
That
be
would
in
be a shitty
trouble.
way. If something goes boom back, it's a bad day.
Uh-huh.
So,
Say
yeah,
boom
I
chakalaka.
personally think it's not our business to get involved in.
I agree.
Even though Iran hates us, it's not our business. I think this is AI, not actually Thomas Sowell. He does very few interviews these days, and the audio here is too recent for his last interview. It might be AI. Interesting.
Well,
I
you
just went through
said
added quotes and I cut out the extra long parts that weren't needed.
right, and it's sped up a little bit, correct?
Yes, but I didn't actually listen to it.
Yeah. I listened to
But
the
there's a
entire
possibility he's right.
uh I don't know.
Victor
Thomas?
Hansen has been complaining about AI fakes of himself as well.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Art. Um I guess now what you're saying we're gonna have to confirm everybody that's doing a freaking video, whether it's a legit thing or not.
Well,
Uh,
otherwise we're just partaking in the misinformation. I should probably start paying closer attention.
uh, I bless you. I true bless you. Um,
I know we did talk about the Victor Hansen one,
correct,
possibly being a hodgepodge together thing
correct.
because of the way
Yeah,
it
we
was,
believe that
and we
one
want
is
to go back to his regular channel.
correct. However, I do know that Thomas Sowell has been out and about making reference. We'll just have to go back, I guess. Well, I don't have time to go back. We will look at it going forward. How about that? If we're going to use
He
anything.
says if it doesn't come from a known source, you need to be suspicious. And I do believe I follow his actual web
Yeah,
YouTube
so do
page,
I. Yeah, and that's
and
the thing
that's
that
where I tend
Crazy
to
B
grab
and
it
I
from.
talked about was using both him and Victor Davis Hansen's actual website um, or accounts. So we can do that in the future going forward. And typically we do that. You'll see that, other content creators might have information out there. And if there's a story we want to cover, we will try to go out and get the actual documentation to it. But there's just, we're not perfect. We're just, you know, regardless, even if it's AI, I think it's applicable what is being said.
I'm just not a fan of AI, period, but
I
I'll
know
let it.
that, but I'm just saying if it
You know
isn't a
me, I just never like AI. I like but I don't care at this point because I also edited this up at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
well, you know what? If the chat has a problem with it, take it down then. Don't even use any of it.
I think it was just being pointed out as something to be aware of, not
Uh,
as a complaint about it.
I don't know about that.
Uh, I'm went through the work. They can get over it, I guess, for the day. I'm like I said, going forward, I'll be more cautious and pay better attention.
Do what you want
Um,
with it.
Say that again.
So do what you want with it.
They see themselves as anointed to lead, and dissent from their worldview is labeled as oppression. But society cannot function on vibes. It must operate on laws. Without law and order, there is no civilization. Only the rule of those loud enough, destructive enough, or violent enough to seize attention. That is why I've always stressed the importance of the rule of law, not just as a concept, but as a practical necessity. As I noted in basic economics, the first lesson of economics is scarcity. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of the same can be said for law. Without consistent enforcement, law becomes a suggestion, not a structure. You hear a lot of talk from the media and politicians about militarization, as if the deployment of the National Guard was some authoritarian overreach. But let's be clear. The federal government acted after officers were injured, property was damaged, and downtown commerce came to a halt. Protesters blocked freeways. Federal agents were assaulted. In that environment, to not respond would have been a dereliction of duty. This is where history becomes instructive. During the Los Angeles riots of 1992, following the acquittal of officers in the Rodney King case, the city descended into chaos. Over 60 people were killed, thousands injured, and billions in property damage inflicted. I said then, and I'll say now, riots are not social justice, they are social destruction. The neighborhoods burned were often minority neighborhoods. The businesses looted were largely owned by first and second generation immigrants. And many of those areas never recovered economically. So now, when we hear that the National Guard should have stayed home, that ICE agents should not be allowed to do their jobs, we must ask, who benefits from that chaos? Who is helped when laws are ignored and violence is tolerated? Certainly not the working class people who depend on safety and stability, the very people progressives claim to represent. What we're seeing is not an objection to tyranny, it is a rejection of consequences. When federal law contradicts the vision of the anointed, it becomes illegitimate, not because of any constitutional argument, but because it hurts their feelings. As I explained in A Conflict of Visions, those with the unconstrained vision believe that intent matters more than process, that the world can be shaped through sheer will, and anyone who stands in the way must be villainized. But enforcement isn't villainy, it is governance. No society can survive with open borders. Even the most generous welfare state cannot support the unlimited inflow of people with no enforcement mechanism. Immigration must be legal, limited, and rational, or it ceases to be immigration and becomes infiltration. Well, the federal government is not seizing control of Los Angeles. It is responding to acts of obstruction and violence against its own officers. The idea that the president must seek local permission to enforce federal law on federal property is not only unconstitutional, it's absurd. California is not a sovereign nation. Local resistance to national law is not heroism, it is political theater, and dangerous theater at that. Governor Newsom's lawsuit to block the Guards' deployment may look noble to some, but it signals something deeper, an erosion of respect for national cohesion. We have local officials attempting to nullify federal law in the name of political optics. That's not resistance. That's anarchy in a suit and tie. So what do we really have here? A president enforcing the law, protesters reacting emotionally, local leaders pandering for headlines, and a media eager to frame every act of federal authority as fascism. But the facts remain. Federal officers were attacked, federal property was threatened, and federal law was upheld. That is not tyranny, that is order. To preserve freedom, we must first preserve civilization, and that requires something more difficult than outrage. It requires clarity, it requires courage, and most of all, it requires consistency in the application of law. What we're witnessing in Los Angeles is not simply a dispute over immigration enforcement. It is a vivid, unfolding example of a larger pattern, the triumph of rhetoric over reason, of ideology over evidence, and of vision over reality. This is not new. It is, in fact, exactly what I warned about in Intellectuals in Society. When people become more committed to appearing virtuous than to being responsible, then society begins to decay at the very level of its institutions. In the June of 2025, federal immigration officers did what the law permits them to do, and more importantly, what the law requires them to do. And yet their actions were portrayed not as enforcement, but as oppression. The deployment of the National Guard in response to
Well, the way he's talking right now, the way this is being said about enforcement is considered oppression, that kind of ties into the changing of the common language and the definitions that is being used to make everyone the bad guy. Okay,
I
let
think
me.
I think made a huge error. Shit.
Do you want me to just pull it down and make do with what we've got? I don't know if
I,
it's going to
I'm
be that bothersome.
no.
That
I'm
one
trying to
comment.
go back to find everything, and I have go into the Rex Sisters Crazy Bee and see if all our stuff that we said not to get rid of is still there.
It's all there. I left all the notes
I know,
that we
but
were covering.
I'm telling, I went in to go pull the original video to see where it came from and dropped the frickin' phone. Would you please go see if everything is still there? Because on my end, it's not showing.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday's show. Let
Okay,
me
so
refresh. Yeah, they're still here.
everything is still there. Okay. How do
Yes.
I get out of what has dropped? There's like just a bunch of typing and that on there, and I don't want to save it because it's going to override everything.
Um Undo button, and
Uh,
under file there should be an undo button from anything you might have typed in.
okay, I'll look at it in a minute. Well, I tried to go back to pull the original video to see where we got it from.
Oh, I
Uh,
know where we got it from. It says at Sowell today.
is that his legit website?
I don't think he has his own website. His YouTube, um I'm trying to remember where the fuck I just had that. Hold on. Um there was only two that were for Thomas Sowell. One was Gems in the Thomas Sowell Today. He does have interviews elsewhere, but they're very sporadic between Fox News and the Uncommon Knowledge, like what Art was pointing out. He those are interviews with him, but
So,
they it appears that he doesn't have his own YouTube channel.
Okay, so what is being shown is his comments, but with Fox News footage.
Basically, yeah, it's comments he's made about stuff over the years, I assume. But this is too updated. Let me see if he's actually given an actual. Hold on. Hold on. Actually, it looks like there's a lot of videos supposedly him commenting on things in modern time. But I don't see any. Oh my god, I hate the way they set up these websites.
See, I know I've seen him on panels,
Yeah.
and I think he's more prevalent. Well, to be quite honest, no, I'm just going to shut up. Never mind.
Oh, this is all the way back in 2014.
Which one, hun?
A Columbus Dispatch, a news article that he did. Um,
Good.
just a lot of YouTube of Thomas Sowell reacts, stuff like that. Oh, yep, that one has an AI disclaimer to it. AI generated segments. Hold on, you know what? Let me pull up the link to the video we're watching and see if there's an AI disclaimer.
Hey, Four Corners, good to see you. And I guess, Art, that was my point, is I do recognize he's in his 90s, and while he may not be running around, he may also be realizing how much time he doesn't have left, so that I think he might be commenting more. And we'll just
Well, the
try.
one channel we went through does not have an AI disclaimer. If you use any AI in the video, you're supposed to put a disclaimer up if you're using AI to make your video.
Okay.
So any AI generated text, scripts, if it's an AI read script, you're supposed to be putting out that information. And I don't see it. Now, whether they're hiding it or not is a whole nother ballgame.
Right. And again, this,
Now, they could
yeah,
have used AI to read the script, to write the script, and then I don't know, used his voice over, or they
yeah,
might have clipped it from news. They might have just compiled a bunch of his news commentary. I don't know because it doesn't say.
right. But but this particular video, is this at 1.5 or 2 times the speed?
1.2 times speed.
1.2. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead,
Just to
Crazy.
make it a little bit quicker, because otherwise it would have been like 20 minutes.
So I think, do you think with increasing the speed, it gives it the appearance that it could be AI generated?
I mean, it's hard to say if because I can't find an original video of him talking about this. It could be AI altogether.
Right. Oops. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
response to lawlessness, in defense of offices under attack, courthouses under threat, and infrastructure disrupted was cast not as protection, but as provocation. But let us not forget, emotional reactions are not evidence. Political outrage is not analysis. And yet the intellectual class continues to drive narratives built not on empirical facts, but on symbolism and sentiment. In the vision of the anointed, I referred to these people as the anointed, those who believe they possess superior insight and moral authority, regardless of their track record. These individuals are never judged by results, only by their good intentions and social posturing. Nowhere is this more evident than in the media's coverage of the LA protests. According to most networks, the demonstrations are mostly peaceful, even while reporting that federal agents were pelted with bricks, buildings vandalized, and curfews enforced. What kind of peace requires riot gear? What kind of justice leaves small businesses destroyed? But when the federal government acts not in anger, but in responsibility, the outrage machine goes into full effect. Governor Newsom sues to block federal troops. Mayor Bass denounces the deployment as an occupying force. But no one asks the obvious question, what would they have done differently, or at all? When laws are broken and offices are attacked, neutrality is not leadership, it is abdication. This contradiction is nothing new. In the 1950s, President Eisenhower deployed the National Guard to enforce school desegregation in Little Rock, Arkansas. In that case, federal action was praised by many on the left as morally necessary. More recently, during the unrest in Ferguson in 2014, the federal government coordinated with state and local authorities to restore order. That was deemed responsible. But when a Republican president, Donald Trump, does the same in 2025, suddenly it's fascism. Yeah. This reveals a deeper problem, the ideological lens through which all events are filtered. When the enforcer does not align with the prevailing vision, the act is condemned, regardless of its legality or necessity. This isn't principle, it's partisanship dressed in the language of moral outrage. In a conflict of visions, I made clear that people who hold the unconstrained vision see no limits to what political will can achieve and see all constraints, whether constitutional, legal, or economic, as illegitimate if they interfere with their goals. They do not respect process, they sanctify outcomes. And when those outcomes are disrupted by reality, whether it's borders, budgets, or ballot boxes, they call it injustice. But immigration, like every other facet of national policy, involves trade-offs. It is not a blank check. As I wrote in Basic Economics, the real cost of anything is what you must give up in order to get it. If we give up sovereignty, security, and legal consistency for the sake of optics and emotion, what are we left with? A society where the loudest voices dictate the law and the rule of law becomes a matter of convenience. Many of the people taking to the streets today claim to be defending immigrant rights, but they are not. They are defending illegal immigration, not the rule of law, not due process, and certainly not the safety and well-being of legal immigrants who followed the rules and paid the price to become part of this nation. It must be asked, what kind of message are we sending when we treat enforcement as villainy and lawbreakers as martyrs? We are telling millions of lawful immigrants that they are fools for complying. We are telling law enforcement that their service will be politicized, and we are telling the next generation that legality is optional if your cause is loud enough. There's also an economic toll. Every time law enforcement is undermined, businesses suffer. In the short term, curfews and unrest drive customers away and leave storefronts shattered. In the long term, investors and jobs flee. No business wants to operate in a city where the rule of law is hostage to political theater. This is not just about ideology. It is about survival, especially for working class families. Who benefits when order breaks down? Not the protesters, not the immigrants, not the communities already struggling under the weight of rising costs and crime. The only ones who benefit are the politicians who build careers on permanent grievance and the activists who gain attention, funding, and clout through continuous agitation. And that brings us to federalism. I have never been an advocate for a centralized, unaccountable government. I've written extensively about the dangers of federal overreach. But what we are seeing here is not federal overreach, it is federal responsibility. When local officials actively obstruct lawful operations, when they defy federal law and encourage disorder, they are not defending liberty. They are playing with fire. The Constitution was not written to permit nullification by mayors or selective law enforcement by governors. States have rights, but they do not have the right to sabotage national policy. There is a difference between disagreement and defiance. And when federal officers are attacked while executing lawful orders, the federal government not only has the right, but the obligation to respond. To those who say this is not who we are, I say, speak for yourself. This is who we are when we follow the law, protect our borders, and value civilization over chaos. What we are seeing now, the glorification of defiance, the politicization of enforcement, the elevation of emotion over evidence, is not who we are. It is who we are becoming if we are not careful. There is a reason we have a legal system. It exists not to serve political ends, but to protect everyone, including those who disagree. When we erode that system in the name of justice, we do not get more justice. We get more power in fewer hands and more chaos for everyone else. I am often asked, what's the solution? The truth is, the solution is not complicated. It is merely unpopular. Enforce the law. Equally, predictably, without fear or favor. Stop rewarding those who break it and stop demonizing those who uphold it. A society that fails to do this is not headed toward justice, it is headed toward collapse. And no vision, no matter how morally dressed, can survive that reality.
Okay. So, yeah, basically what everyone's been saying. Enforce the rules, don't let people be dumbasses, and common sense. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But
Um,
we're half the country.
yeah, but some people just don't like that.
Hmm. The baby just left, so let me get my
Ah,
shit together here. So, what do we got next, Crazy B?
um, well, we have the articles, or we have, um, I don't know if we want to mess with that second Thomas Sowell video until we know for
Don't
sure it's
bother
something
with
he
it.
said.
So don't bother with it.
Okay, do you want the Newsom rejects his proposal?
Do another video if we have one, just so I can get to the other room.
Okay, I'll run a short, and if that doesn't work
Not going to
or
be long
takes
enough.
it ain't long enough.
Nope.
Okay, then let's pull up Cash Jordan's the ice are blocking the roads.
Okay.
So
Then why don't
that'll
we
work.
go to the Cap Jordan ones and get them out of the way?
That's literally what I just said I was pulling up.
I know. I'm just saying. Let's get rid of both of them.
You mean cover them or get rid of them, like don't cover them?
Cover them, I mean.
Oh, conflicting words here. Conflicting words. All right, here we go.
So getting behind the wheel of a car could now mean one gets deported. And all across the country, traffic stops are becoming a new method of immigration enforcement. However, activists are sounding the alarm, saying that police are profiling immigrants, singling them out as they try to survive. However, proponents maintain pulling over those driving illegally doesn't just make our streets safer, it also ensures criminals living here without permission stop putting the general public in danger. Here's how you know this is working. The New York Times has a video on their YouTube channel complaining about immigration enforcement at traffic stops. But what nobody's complaining about is traffic stops. Those are one of the ways law enforcement agencies across America keep us safe every single day. And these stops don't just put bad drivers behind bars, they also result in criminals and wanted fugitives getting taken off the streets for good. And they even result in the rescue of missing persons. And here's the thing, how does a traffic stop even happen? It happens when you operate your vehicle in a way that puts people in danger. And if you or I were to drive like a maniac and get pulled over, serves us right. And if we're doing something else illegal at the same time, we deserve to get busted for that too. Also, traffic stops are important because a person's vehicle is a place. They leave clues about what illegal activity they might be engaged in on a regular basis. Whether it's human smuggling, gang activity, or running from the law. Also, if a person can't drive straight, they're first and foremost a public safety threat that needs to be dealt with immediately. But that brings us to the real reason why activists are so upset that anyone in the country illegally could now be doomed if they drive. Of course, these
How is it a bad thing? If you're here illegally, you're not allowed to drive here.
In here.
So why are activists complaining? Oh, but that's right. They also get mad about anyone of any color getting pulled over and ticketed. Oh, I got a ticket just because I was this color or that color. Like,
Yeah, it's always racist.
oh, don't get me started. Oh, well, my parents had to teach me a special way to handle it when cops come up to the window.
Yeah,
Keep your hands on the wheel. Don't do this.
uh-huh,
Don't do. I'm like, that's what my dad taught me too when I was 15. What are
correct.
you complaining about? I was taught the same thing. No, you weren't. You're lying. No, that's exactly what I was taught. That's only taught to people of color. No, it's not. It's common sense.
Oh,
Don't do anything stupid when you're pulled over and just accept your ticket and fight it in court. That is what my dad taught me at 16 years old.
I have a question for you. Is the
Yes.
G pool this limited for retarded people to exist?
I believe our gene pool is really that limited. I apologize. I mean, I've sat here, I can't tell you how many times and said, I used to think I was the dumbest person on the planet. And then I got online because I had no other way to communicate with people. And I feel super intelligent now. I really do. And that's sad. So, yeah. But people are complaining about this and it needs to frickin' stop. If they're breaking the law, they need to be removed from the country or the streets. Whether if there is no matter what, they need to be removed from the streets.
well,
I was a long-haired kid in possession of a hot rod, got pulled over all the time. Yes. I just like it doesn't make sense.
heck, I
It is
told
not
you,
racial
I
profiling. You
told
did
you, Eric
something
got,
stupid.
yeah, Eric just
Oh,
got
is it
pulled
racial
over, what, a couple
profiling or
months
road
ago,
rage?
right? Because they thought it was me because I have not renewed my driver's license.
But the vehicle's still in your name.
Correct. So him and Jacob were in the car, and the cop was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I thought that was your wife." And so what? What? What was that? That
Gender profiling.
there you go, right?
How dare they not use
I
the
mean,
right pronouns?
hair versus no hair. Really? Come on, you know?
Height difference between you and your husband.
Huh? Yeah.
Just gonna point out the insanity of some of this.
Yes.
Like, does it make sense to you guys? Like, to me, they're just looking for something to cry about. They're not even being serious. They are so desperate for something to complain about because their life is so easy. They have nothing better to do. Just gonna point this out. I'm so sick of society. I really am. But anyways, let's hit play so we can at least get through this.
These same activists claim to care about safe streets just like the rest of us, but the one law they don't want anyone accused of breaking is immigration law. And they think that somebody who snuck into America and finds themselves behind the wheel of a van with no license should be rewarded and allowed to stay in our country forever, even if they're doing stuff like this.
We got there as a yellow Mustang was being towed and a driver was being detained by Homeland Security officers. The deputy who pulled him over said he was holding up traffic and didn't have a driver's license, no credit card, nothing to identify himself or show that he was allowed to drive this rental car, just a passport. From there, Border Patrol ran his name.
As you're gonna see in a minute, that guy was extremely dangerous. And if me or you or any legal American were busted for having no license, driving erratically, nobody would come to our defense. Everyone would know that we did the wrong thing, including us. But as you're about to see, activists want these criminals getting pulled off our streets to get unlimited second chances because they say these stops are not fair.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's a
My
scene the
ass on that
Guatemalan
one.
Mayan Center in Lake Worth is familiar with. Work trucks getting pulled over for traffic stops or safety inspections, then ICE or Border Patrol agents showing up and questioning everybody in the car.
I mean, it's disrupting everything about our community. It's disrupting businesses.
Wait, it's disrupting your community, then quit having illegals.
Illegals work there. Correct.
Yes.
I mean,
Like,
how many people got to be in a work truck?
two. That's how many can safely be in a work truck. 9 times out of 10, there's only 2 seats.
Well,
Unless you're using the cargo van that has the seats in the back for your extra workers. But still, if you're even still, use a legal driver. If let's say they're here legally, they don't have their driver's license yet, that makes sense. Put a legal driver in there. It's not complicated. You wouldn't be holding up anything if you just follow the fucking law.
But it doesn't pertain to them.
And why is she complaining? What's holding up her business? She doesn't actually go into detail as far as I remember. It's just disrupting our daily lives. Okay? How is it disrupted?
Probably because
Please.
people are pulled over.
How does that impact her? Is she the one who got pulled over?
No, but she might have to wait behind some cars.
Not if they're on the shoulder of the road.
Well, all those people.
Oh, it's her business, and her people their clients aren't getting what they wanted in time. Maybe that's what it is.
Yes.
Well, don't hire illegals. Again, common fucking sense to me.
It's disrupting churches. It's disrupting like everything about our day-to-day lives.
Tradesmen, plumbers, electricians, tree trimmers, kind of the blue-collar workers is what we're seeing.
Okay, so the first thing we've got to just knock out of the park here is every single person in this country working illegally not only might be in an unsafe situation, but they're stealing jobs from the rest of the country just to enrich greedy businesses. But there's another problem. Every single work truck getting stopped, why is it getting stopped? Well, it has a safety violation. And what happens? Officers pull one of these vehicles over and they start looking around and they see a whole bunch of other problems. And a lot of time, people are getting trafficked to and from work sites across the country. It's terrible. And these activists are upset that ICE gets called in. Well, if police pull over a van and there's way too many people inside of it, nobody's wearing the seatbelt, and they need to issue fines.
Right.
If that window ain't broken, there's no reason to have cardboard over it. And even cardboard is obstructing your view out of your back window, and it needs to be used as a opaque plastic or clear plastic to replace the window. A couple of my guys couldn't drive customers' cars because they had too many traffic issues. Welcome to running a business.
Uh-huh.
Yes, there is no reason to have illegals driving. Or let's say they're even here legally and they don't have a driver's license yet. They still can't drive.
Right. How many legal citizens aren't permitted to drive?
It's the year of our Lord 2025. You have to do Spanish or vanish.
Spanish or vanish. In the year of our Lord 2025, according to my son.
That's an
I love that kid.
twist.
It's like you have to do Spanish or you'll vanish. Oh, my Lord. But no, this is, again, I have to agree with these people. Not the activists, the sane people who are arresting these people. It makes sense. Oh, there's the play button.
Fines, they've got to ask for ID. And that's how this whole thing starts happening. People are breaking the law, putting themselves in danger. But we got to take a step back because activists are saying that these practices are discriminatory in nature. But is that actually what's going on?
When we're driving down the interstate, if we're doing an interdiction pattern, what we'll do is sometimes we'll ride the left lane, ride the right lane, left lane. We'll look for driving patterns. We'll look for reactions. He's running around. He's sitting somewhere 85, 86 probably when he came up next to us. I think once he went around, I think he realized that we were a police car. And now he's going to just kind of lay off the wheel. Let him go, Yeah, it's not doing anything crazy reckless. He's just kind of in a hurry to get where he's going, I guess.
Oh, look at that. Cops aren't being predatory with the quota. He was speeding.
Well,
and they let it go.
Right, but he could have just done that because he had the passenger with him. You never know. It could have been
9 times out of 10, cops really just
I'm
don't want to deal with you any more than you want to deal with them.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Sergeant Kukar is with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. He took me along with the interdiction unit as part of Operation Stone Garden, a program by the Department of Homeland Security that enhances cooperation between federal and local agencies to secure our borders.
So what's happening here is you've got officers who are out there doing the same job they did yesterday. This cop just let somebody go for what he thought was a minor traffic offense, but they've got this new capability where if they encounter somebody who's not supposed to be in the country, they can make an arrest. And these arrests all start when the officers notice something seriously wrong, like erratic driving, dangerous vehicles, overcrowded vans with passengers, mulling about, or a driver putting others at risk with dangerous behavior like speeding, which in many cases is not the first crime some of these folks have committed.
Driver was being detained by Homeland Security officers. The deputy who pulled him over said he was holding up traffic and didn't have a driver's license.
They ran the information. They have a system they run it through federally, and it came back that he has a deportation order for that.
Great.
So in lieu of doing charge on him, he's just going to go with Border Patrol, and Border Patrol will process him at their facility.
I mean,
They just saved us more tax dollars. Instead
Right.
of processing him there and then having to transfer him, they just send him right with Border Patrol and saves us extra tax dollars.
I'm
If they were
surprised
really just milking the system like everybody claims, they would have taken the extra steps. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this is at, but obviously it's not a sanctuary city or state.
It's hard to say.
Well, they permitted him
can't
to
really
go with
tell.
Yeah, they permitted him to go with Border Patrol.
So yeah, definitely not a sanctuary city.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's keep listening because this is actually really good coverage. I like Cash Jordan on this. He is really good at covering info. Wait. What the special enforcement units will do
Seriously?
depends on what they're trying to accomplish. Speed
Crazy
enforcement's
Bee,
right,
can you hear
speeding
me?
tickets. I can hear you.
No.
Can you hear me? Oh, bugger. She can't hear me again. But yes, certain ones will be doing certain things. They enforce different things. Yep. Are we back?
We're back. Sorry about that.
I don't know why you all of a sudden can't hear me. We're talking just fine, and then all of a sudden I disappear for you.
Because the phone rang.
Ah.
And every time it rings, I get kicked out, even though I don't accept the call.
That's got to be annoying.
You have no clue.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
I mean, what's wrong with that? You've got somebody who is a burden to society in more ways than one. They're putting everybody at risk. They're not supposed to be here. And if he's arrested locally and detained at a local jail, now that costs this local city and town money when the federal government already has a program to pay for and bring justice to this person for crimes they've already committed. On top of that, if any American did this, you know what would happen to them? They would be arrested. They would be put in jail. The book would be thrown at them, making you wonder what exactly this person was up to in America if they're living here as a fugitive, getting their hands on a rental car without any ID. What exactly are they up to? Are they a gang member, a human exploiter? There's a lot wrong with situations like this, and it's a good thing the police have this new capability.
The sheriff and I talked about immigration and how a program now expanded under President Donald Trump, 287G, allows local law enforcement to assist, something Sheriff Hardwick says they've been doing for several years but are able to put more deputies on now.
The invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border transgressions.
Since President Trump's inauguration in January to the beginning of April, they've identified 171 people after being detained or arrested for committing a crime and were not able to prove citizenship. Sometimes Customs and Border Protection agents will take someone into custody on the spot. The sheriff says what they're not doing is profiling individuals or targeting specific job sites, looking to arrest people, though the federal government, in a rare situation, has asked the sheriff's office for help on a specific case.
That's the beauty of this system. These officers, they don't have to go out there and do something new. They just have to go out there and enforce basic traffic laws. Basic laws that are already not being obeyed. And when they do that, they find other crime. Now, activists say this is a big mistake. They paint it all as discrimination. They can do that all they want. But the fact is, people driving in an unsafe manner or driving in vehicles that are full of safety violations, putting every car on the road in danger. That's what's attracting police to these crime scenes. Police are not pulling people over who aren't speeding. Police are not pulling people over whose vehicles are...
Did it kick you out again?
It most certainly did, because the phone rang with another spam call. It must be.
Oh my God. Hey, did you put your phone on Do Not Disturb?
It is.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
vehicles are up to code. It's almost like activists want people to be able to drive a yellow Mustang with no driver's license in an unsafe manner and just get let off the hook for it. That's ridiculous. But if these moves by the president to allow local police to assist ICE didn't outrage activists enough, the president's other plan to just ban certain people from driving at all, whether or not they speak English, has them even more upset.
A federal law requiring English proficiency for commercial drivers already exists.
With the truckers having to speak English, we actually covered his coverage of that, and he's just replaying his coverage. But yeah, again, if you don't understand the signs, get off the road.
But according to President Trump, it had not been enforced in years, and he claims that made the roads less safe. Russell Rocha has been a truck driver for 17 years.
We need to open the door to opportunity for everybody.
While he says there is a need for driver, Rocha sees the logic behind the executive order signed by President Donald Trump on Monday.
Because if you can't read or understand a certain sign that's a little dangerous, it could affect you.
Yeah, of course it could. If you can't read the signs on the road and there's some danger zone approaching, everybody is at risk. And here you are driving a commercial vehicle full of who knows what. And this truck driver makes a good point. Obviously, more drivers is always a good thing in an industry that's got shortages. But you gotta pause and consider what he's saying. He's not a politician. He's not some commentator. But he lives on the road and he sees what happens when people aren't paying attention, get disoriented, or make mistakes. He's seen firsthand what can go wrong. But of course, those who are upset with this new policy say that it's gonna cost Americans big time not to have as many drivers as possible, even if those drivers might be unsafe drivers.
The new order requires truckers to demonstrate.
Well, on top of all this shit, aren't they moving towards automated trucks?
I was just going to say that. Isn't that what is supposed to happen?
Because we have driver shortages, they're trying to get automated trucking going.
Right.
Ohio and Indiana, I believe, are the first states to work with it, interstate trucking. So, yeah, I find this entertaining a little bit that they're all crying, we need illegals to drive our trucks, but at the same time, we also got idiots working to automate it, and no matter what, humans are losing out.
Yep.
Just going to point that out. Oh. I thought you were about to say something. It went up and then stopped.
To demonstrate proficiency using the English language before getting behind the wheel. According to the executive order, proficiency means drivers can read and understand traffic signs and communicate with traffic safety, border patrol, and agricultural checkpoints, as well as others.
Es una ley inefasta.
It's an awful law, Joman Rivera told me. In my 15 years as truck driver, I never had an issue with English. Rivera claims he recognized the signs and communicated with officers with his limited English. First off,
I'll point it out again. I think he's only speaking Spanish for the sake of this video to pull at heartstrings. He actually understands English much better, especially after 15 years of driving.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems a little ludicrous that he's only speaking Spanish.
Yeah, it's on purpose. Again, optics. Can't stand it.
First off, but according to Transportation Secretary...
Okay, so the guy that they just interviewed, if he's been a trucker for 15 years, he can understand the road signs, and he can understand police, he may very well pass whatever proficiency test is out there. The news is making it look like that guy who's a professional and who's not in the country illegally is going to lose his job. And everyone against this wants to paint it as some sort of horrible requirement that hurts hardworking people who just came to America illegally with the goal of improving our country, which we're supposed to believe they're doing by working for illegal below minimum wage payments, possibly in unsafe environments or in unsafe trucks with unsafe equipment. But the argument is this law is already having a negative effect because drivers are apparently walking away from trucking.
We have to watch out for lives. I mean, that's most important, right? It depends on how many people are affected and how many people decide to exit the industry because of this.
Rivera says he's already seen many truck drivers putting their trucks on sale. He also says the consumer is the one who will suffer. Rocha agrees.
They always say the consumer is going to suffer.
By not picking up on time, by not delivering on time, or in between transit from shipping to receiving.
So U.S. Secretary...
Okay, so could that happen? Yes, but driving this type of vehicle requires a special type of license. And the only way to get one of those licenses is to pass a test that is more than a standard driving test. And speaking English is already a requirement here. And this guy that's been driving for 15 years, he's got nothing to worry about. But somebody who was working at a trucking company that was hiring people either off the books or who didn't have the proper documents or who were borrowing someone's license, they're the ones that every driver on the road should be terrified of.
I think it's a good thing because that way everybody can read the signs. We won't have half as many traffic accidents as we did, just like that.
Hey, I bet if you moved to some other country like Mexico or Canada and wanted to become a truck driver, you'd have to pass their rules too and learn their language and learn to drive their way. You don't just get to go in. And this again, it makes me worry about all these people that are working in the Secretary of State's and the Department of Transportations that aren't American born. They just got the job because it's a good paying job. How many of them are pushing people through? And I like to think people are honest, but it is a perfect position to get in and push family members through.
Interesting.
I mean, it really sucks that corrupt people would do something like that. But we saw about that one illegal who became a citizen, then ran for Congress. Not Congress, her local political theater type thing, and then ended up getting into a shit ton of trouble for hiring family and,
Right.
doing all that shit. So, I mean, if it's happening on a political level, you know what's happening on lower levels. It bugs me. It really does.
Well,
We got.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say hit play.
Okay.
Just like that. When that happened a few years back on Highway 70.
And he's talking about a Lakewood crash back in 2019 when a semi-truck's brakes malfunctioned, causing it to crash into about a dozen other cars and 3 other semi-trailers. It was later determined that the trucking company had 30 safety violations, including brake issues and drivers with a weak grasp of English.
So this is a tragic story, and I researched this, and the company was very much at fault. They put an unsafe truck on the roads in the hands of a driver who was relatively inexperienced and may have had problems communicating. And this is how safety standards work. You've got companies that want to make money, so what do? They cut corners, they hire the wrong people, they hire people illegally. Don't put workers in unsafe conditions. They would never pass a checkup, that's for sure. The workers are in danger, the general public's in danger, everybody's at risk.
Yeah. I actually know someone who does some of the work on trucks like that, and he sends pictures all the time that, they just told me to patch this tire. That tire is about to explode at any second, and they just want you to plug it and send it on its way.
What?
Like, I am terrified to be on the road next to a semi these days. Absolutely terrified, because anything could go wrong at any time.
Road trip we took, and either on the way forward or the way back, it was so hot that the tires, the trucks had to pull over.
Yes. The trucks actually had to take time to let their tires cool down. It was like 100 something degrees outside, and the roads were baking, and it was a mess. But no, I absolutely am terrified to drive next to some of these truckers, knowing the maintenance that is being done.
We were going down a 4-lane highway down the side of a mountain, and a tractor-trailer truck lost its wheel. And that wheel...
fuck no.
Yes, and that wheel came up the hill. It did not go down the hill. It came up.
Yeah, it went reverse because of, momentum and gravity and physics.
It was extremely scary. Extremely. Cars were... It was very scary.
I would not want to be around that. I would love driving freeways if I knew everyone was driving safe. I don't like driving the freeways when I don't trust the other drivers out there. I don't know. Am I bad? Am I stereotyping?
No, I don't think so. I think that... I worry about, just going up to camp, the highways that we got across and the trucks that, go, tractor trailer trucks that go by, and some of them go whizzing by so fast that your whole car shakes, and you're
Yeah.
what the hell, like, how fast are you going when we're already above the speed limit here, and the you're causing our car to shake and almost swerve off the road. That's crazy.
That is
Uh,
something that bothers me. Again, it's like I'm a good driver. I don't trust you, that random car going by, as a
mm-hmm.
driver.
Yep.
Oh, Art says the funny thing is you don't really make more money by cutting corners, but those who cut corners can never seem to understand that. That's oh yes, I absolutely agree. I do not believe in cutting corners no matter what. I am a very honest, straightforward person like that. And I try not to. And no, have I accidentally skipped a step? You betcha. But it's nothing done on purpose. So it's not just me be like, oh, I'm going to be a lazy bitch today and I'm not going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. We do have one more video from Cash Jordan, and that's that shit that happened in New York over last
Yeah,
weekend.
that was last
Let,
week. Yes. Yeah.
This is a 10-minute video, and I did edit this down, so feel free to go watch the originals. Actually, you should anyways. I know we're sharing it and we're interjecting and adding our own commentary and stuff, but it's still the best thing to do is go give him an original watch and a like and a subscribe because he is really good about this stuff.
I mean,
I've been watching
he
him for a
has.
while.
Yeah, he has. And I think I made this statement before. And I don't know if he's still doing real estate or not, but when my youngest moved to New York, I started to follow him and just became interested in the um, apartments and that he was acting as agent for to rent out. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden he turned into a political commentator, and I think he has done a fantastic job in
Mhm.
his
And he
research.
doesn't really show much bias in what he
No,
does. He's just this is what's going on,
no,
and you're an
exactly.
idiot if you don't
Yes,
notice it.
correct. Right. So
So,
go ahead.
I gotta give him props and credit where credit's
Hmm.
due. He's very talented at this. And it is sometimes hard to trim down his videos, to be, get the fair use and stuff from it. It is very hard to do because his videos are really full of information
Right.
that's worth watching. So, let me hit play. Um, Art says, "Do I pay an accountant to help me avoid paying taxes?" Yes, but if I tried to cheat, I'd have the fines and the hours of time dealing with the audit and to factor in. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. Don't cheat.
Rioters blow up police cars in New York City. What's this about?
Have new details just in after several NYPD vehicles are torched in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Investigators tell us that a masked arsonist torched 11 NYPD vehicles. These were taken about 1:30 in the morning last night. Investigators say an arsonist broke into this locked police parking lot and started lighting NYPD vehicles on fire.
What?
He was interrupted by a police security guard, and then he escaped down an alley.
Oh, my
Now,
goodness.
Mayor Adams and the police commissioner holding a news conference here just a few hours ago telling us that, in fact, this crime is linked to anti-ICE protests happening here in New York City.
Okay, how do you get away with this? How has he not been caught? How is he not in jail right away? He literally firebombs a police parking lot.
11
And
vehicles, right? And nobody
I,
catches them or
they just
sees them.
don't see you or stop you?
Mm. That was
Uh,
the first thing out of the gate that I had an issue with, was how did he get 11 vehicles?
well, vehicles sitting next to each other, catching each other on fire, maybe.
Mm.
I could see that happening, but still, I mean,
I think he
I
got
don't
each
know.
one individually, if I recall correctly. And he couldn't get in originally, and he used a small table that was available somewhere and he used the table to jump and hop the fence.
With all the dogs they have, they
Mm.
couldn't just put a couple police dogs on patrol in the parking lot?
What about a camera?
Well, there are cameras. This is
Well,
camera footage.
I'm just saying, who was watching the camera?
I don't know. Let's keep watching and see if we can find out any more, because this has just got me like
It's crazy,
I'd be
isn't it?
sitting in that parking lot with a paintball gun.
Uh-huh.
That's what makes sense to me. Sit someone in that parking lot with a paintball gun. If someone's coming through that doesn't belong there, pop them with the paintballs.
For New York City and across.
They won't be back. And my finger twitched. So, but yeah. Oh, we're only 32 seconds in, and I've got questions. So.
Country. Investigators also found a dozen unignited fire starters, devices you could buy at a Home Depot.
Wow,
Here's
look
Mayor
at
Adams
that.
first, just a short time ago.
This is crazy, and it doesn't exactly look like peaceful protesting now, does it?
I called my mom and I told her they're lighting the cop cars on fire next door. Her reaction was, we leave. Like, we evacuate the building.
Yes, you
She
do.
got to the door. The police were already here, about to come in, and they tell her we got to evacuate the building.
That's so crazy. That could have lost his house.
Hey, JJ, pop him with an itchy finger. Yes. No, I also want to point out, now these people are disrupting, yes, the police work, but the lives of the people who've got to be to work in the morning, that have to leave their apartment in the middle of the night because the apartment could catch fire, and they've got to be safe, and they got to go to work, and they got to go to school. Like, does anyone not give a shit about them? Yeah, it was a weekend, but I used to work weekends. Anyone else ever work weekends?
And how long were they standing outside? It's not like they had some other place to go to.
I know. How is this okay? And that kid who was doing the interview, that's not he's not one of the ones out there causing problems, but his life is disrupted by this. I don't know. It just bugs me. It really bugs me that people are so inconsiderate and so selfish. Okay. Let's continue.
Bushwick, and you're looking at a live picture of the building that you just heard from that witness describe. You can see how close he is to
Yeah,
the
there's a
police
park
parking lot.
right
and
here.
why
Look at that.
Oh, it's
his mother had to
literally right
evacuate
next to the
quickly.
police lot.
Mhm.
There's like nothing between them except that little
area,
whatever the hell that equipment is.
Right.
Holy shit.
In the middle of the night. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Now, the alley that you're looking at there is where police say the arsonist made his escape, and they are looking for him.
So they haven't found him yet. That's not a good thing. But the question I have is, how did he get into a locked lot where police vehicles are being held? Isn't this thing secured?
The NYPD crime scene unit as well as ATF
Look at all those
investigators
burnt
here
vehicles.
investigating what led to this fire. You can see the charred police vehicles there. You also see some damage to the windshield. As you mentioned, police are looking for two men who were seen wearing black, all black and masked, running away from the scene. They believe this fire was intentionally set. So they're reviewing that surveillance video in addition to other...
They believe the fire was intentionally set. Jeez, I wonder what the fuck gave that away.
No,
are you sure it wasn't an accident, like a lightning strike?
No.
Oh my fucking... Sorry.
They said it by accident. They didn't mean to. They were like doing a candle vigil, and it just happened to explode.
Bullshit.
The other thing too is, we talked about the disruption to the people in the apartment building, but there's 11 vehicles now that are no longer in service for the use.
And I bet most of those are not cop cars. They might be, what they use to come to and from work. Oh my Lord.
I know.
I think my son had a good point about our lack of gene pool and the level of stupidity in society. Just want to point that out. Intentionally set. Thank you, Captain Obvious. LOL. I'm telling you, I don't. It might have been on purpose, Ian. Think. What was that saying back in the 90s? No shit, Sherlock? All right.
Evidence, including those undetonated explosives that you mentioned. Take a look at this photo. You'll notice a cluster of those devices
like
on top of the wheel of a police car. They appear to look very similar to M80 firecrackers and were discovered in and around these charred vehicles. Now, here's a look at the fire. This was a bright orange glow. It broke at around 1:30 this morning at this police parking lot at DeKalb and Central Avenues, just blocks away from the 83rd Precinct. Police say in total, 6 marked vehicles and 2 unmarked vehicles were damaged. Several other vehicles were also vandalized, again with shattered windows. Now, police cruisers parked outside of the lot as a precaution, and we did also speak with people who live in the neighborhood.
It's very unsettling. No one wants to live on a street that has arson happening on it, and yeah, it's very it's unnerving for sure.
So we've had 2 interviews now with regular New Yorkers who aren't these radical lunatics that are out there destroying everything, and they don't want this in their neighborhoods, and they don't want to evacuate their apartment.
Who the hell wants to live around that? Seriously.
Nobody, yeah.
Except the idiots who do that kind of behavior. Anyone with half a brain or half a working brain cell do not want to be around arsonists. Like, oh my God. Oh, this is so insane. I'm going to let him keep talking, but I cannot, nobody in their right mind wants to live around terrorist activity.
Apartment buildings.
NYPD vehicles sit as shells of what they once were, following an overnight arson attack against the 83rd Precinct lot at the corner of
It
Central
was an
and College
attack,
Avenues.
that's right.
In total, 11 vehicles damaged.
There's a lot of history there. And to do that, it brings old wounds to me. It doesn't see.
Yeah. These neighbors are traumatized.
Emotions running high as Mayor Eric Adams and Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch arrived on scene Thursday afternoon to survey the damage, saying the suspect was wearing all black and used incendiary devices to set the cars ablaze.
He first tries to break in through a lock on the gate, and when that fails, he hops a lower side fence to make entry.
CBS News New York obtained this surveillance video that appears to show a person using a small table to jump the fence of the lot early Thursday morning, matching the description laid out by NYPD. NYPD was unable to confirm if the person pictured here is the suspect.
So there was no active surveillance. Just go back and check it when shit goes wrong surveillance.
Remember, next time you want to do something, to bring your own little table with you, so you can hop that lower fence. Like, where was the table from?
Probably stolen from a homeless guy down the road. Because they can't get their homeless problem in check.
And then, knowing full well that, you have these vehicles secured for a reason, but you have fencing that isn't high enough. Okay?
Uh-huh. They say they're going to fix it. Well, how much you want to bet fixing it is just adding a couple of extra feet of fencing to the top of what's already there?
Well, even if they did that, I guess that's better than nothing, but I don't.
I know.
How
about start punishing crime and people won't do it?
Well, not in New York and not in New York City.
Oh, that's because they don't punish people there. They just let them back out. Great. Okay, we still got a few more minutes. Oh, like 7 minutes. Shit.
Suspect, but residents say the video was confiscated by NYPD in their investigation.
Wow.
This attack has left neighbors nearby rattled.
Guy hopped the
suspect
fence.
Remains on the run.
I was sleeping. I could have been burnt in my house.
Miriam Bonato lives next door to the lot and is happy the fire didn't spread to her home.
It's like out her window.
The flame didn't get close to the houses. Otherwise, we would have been in serious trouble.
This is unacceptable. Mayor Eric Adams says NYPD intelligence has linked the attack to the ICE protest happening nationwide and vows to arrest the man responsible.
It takes courage to protect the city. It takes a coward to burn vehicles.
Unused incendiary devices sit on the wheels of some of the
those are the
undamaged
fire
vehicles
starters
left
the other
behind by the
mentioned.
suspect. Pieces of evidence the NYPD is investigating in tandem with the
Okay, before we get to what some of the activists are saying about this, these are the actual victims of these ICE protesters. Actual normal people who want to live in a country that is set up to benefit them. Meanwhile, these protesters are out there attacking law enforcement and destroying the lives of regular people. And listen to what these protesters are saying.
I think it's awesome. I think it's bad. Burn more police cars, set more on fire, do things that actually matter, and actually circumvent the police, not just standing in the street yelling, no, stop. I think it's an equal mix of spectacle.
This is horrible.
Just standing in...
So this kid wants rioting, not protest. He literally just spelled it out in plain English. Protesting doesn't work. We need to riot, destroy things. You're a toddler throwing a temper tantrum.
I don't know if that's enough to get arrested or not.
I hope so. Maybe. No, I don't think it is, but it's not okay. It's just, oh, for the love
I
of
mean, it's
God,
like
that's
you're in
not
the
okay.
playground jumping up and down. Oh, goody, goody, goody. Let it burn, let it burn. Hmm.
I would be the one sitting there trying to put out the flames and providing medical care if needed, like first aid and all that. I can't understand how people want to see so much destruction.
And when I look at this kid, all I want to do is grab him by his nose ring and drag him around. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. I did. Sorry.
Believe it or not, as someone who has had multiple piercings, I don't blame you guys. I just hate that my style's been hijacked by idiots.
Well, I mean, I sorry. I didn't mean it like that, but
No, I get it.
yeah.
I don't like that my dyed hairstyle and my piercing style from my punk rock era, and I still have quite a few of the piercings, by the way. I don't have a septum piercing, but I'm just saying, that's something I would totally do if I had the money to go do it. Or hell, I'd just go get my daughter to confidently pierce my nose. I would totally do it. But I'm not doing it for political reasons. I'm doing it because it's fucking cool back in the day with the dyed hair, the mohawks, the leather, the chains.
Well,
That's my style. But
on the
these
side
idiots
is
hijacked
fine, but
it.
that whole thing in the front just reminds me of a cow that needs to be led to water. That's all.
Yeah, a bull.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And many cows. They have
Yeah.
those piercings for a reason.
Right.
Yes. So,
And he needs to go to water.
yeah, it's just it drives me nuts when people are idiots. So, I went from long-haired hippie to bald monk. Go figure. LOL. All right. Let's hit play and try to get through a little bit more.
Sending a good sign that we will not be messed with. And further, it is a tangible good. We have taken cars they have taken cars out of commission in a real way that will actually protect real people from the police.
Hold on a second. These police officers, they're not even allowed to do the thing these protesters are angry about.
Protection from, not with. Well, who is driving them around? What are they doing in those vehicles? I don't speak for everyone, but I hope everyone is excited. I hope it moves everyone
This is awful.
Real practical change, because it's those real practical changes that are going to
Practical change. This is practical change to these people.
That is not practical change.
Outright forms of protest. It is getting in the streets and doing thing. I
This
believe
is
that
terrible.
The police act in an inflammatory way, and
I'm sorry, the only people acting in an inflammatory way are the people lighting the police cars on fire. It's very simple. This person doesn't understand. In fact, they're part of the problem.
they understand that their place is to police and to harass and to corral people, and they take that position overly seriously. I believe that there is no good way for us to communicate with them. They are automatically meeting us from a very, very bad spot.
This is terrible.
Frankly, I hope so.
Somebody
I hope
likes
every
to
single
read
car
the
is burned down. I hope
headlines
they take the whole
only.
precinct with it. I hope they. Fortunately, I don't know what.
That's awful. All right, we can't listen to any more of this person because it's evil. It's pure evil to listen to stuff like this. But that's who's out there. That's who's wearing these masks. That's who's blowing stuff up and attacking police. Look at how awful this is. This is
Following the potential money trail of the chaos in Los Angeles, Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he is launching an investigation trying to find out if left-wing groups with deep pockets are helping to support those violent anti-ICE
we need to figure out
protests.
who's behind this.
Spontaneous at all. They're about as authentic as AstroTurf. They are bought and paid for flash mobs. And I want to know who's doing the buying and the paying. That's why today I've launched an investigation. We've all seen the videos of vans driving up, handing out gas masks right before somebody blows up a car. It's time we found out where's the money coming from, who's really behind this. I think the American people deserve answers.
Joining us now is Republican Congressman Pat Fallon, member of the House
That's
Oversight
an
Committee. So that's what the
understatement.
senator
I
wants
want
to know.
answers.
Congressman, what do you want to know?
When are we going to get answers about this shit? Please, someone tell me.
I mean, they have to have an idea.
Oh, they already know. The problem is they're making it look like they're investigating.
They just won't say.
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. Is they already know. They're just terrified to put it out there. Anyway, there's a few more minutes. We can get through this.
I want to know the same thing Senator Hawley wants to know, and also the American people deserve to know. These NGOs, or as I call them, BGOs, basically government organizations, are funded in large part by tax dollars.
So there are people who are funded and who are paid for, but their job is to rile up the brainwashed masses of people who truly believe that some new form of fascism or some new Iron Curtain is descending upon America.
It shouldn't be going to fund this kind of lawlessness, John, and we need to have the answers, because in the future, our greatest job is to protect our citizens and our constituents, and not funding this kind of mayhem.
Yeah, this
so
is
here's
mayhem.
what Caroline Levitt said at the White House briefing about this yesterday.
If you look at some of the imagery that we have received from the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and law enforcement who are on the ground, you will see boxes and boxes of very professionalized masks and rioting equipment being dropped off for these protesters. So it's a good question the president is raising, and one we are looking into, about who is funding these insurrectionists and these rioters and these protesters and these illegal criminals.
You know, we're seeing the video. There's a group of people who are at an intersection, a pickup truck pulls up, and the next thing you know, they're digging into boxes and handing out face shields. Peaceful protests. I've seen so many peaceful protests here in Washington, D.C. I haven't seen people wearing face shields. They're carrying signs, and they're making a lot of noise and things.
These people want some sort of battle or uprising. They want to go after police. They want to go after the law abiding, but they can't because the police are there. Once the police are gone, you and I better watch out.
But, I mean, the only reason why you wear a face shield is because you, I imagine,
that, you know, if you're going to go out and you're going to protest, show your damn face.
I agree.
You know, these ones that pull up and they're, you know, shielded and their face is covered and, you know,
They don't
rile
really
up the
believe
crowd.
what they're doing.
Exactly. You know, if you stand for something, man up. Show your face. Woman up, whatever it is. Trans
Doesn't
up,
matter.
gay. Yeah, show your face. Don't be afraid.
People are afraid to show their face because they don't want the consequences for their actions.
Exactly.
So they're afraid of what they stand for. That's usually a bad sign.
You know, the looters. What's the looting all about?
They're taking advantage of the protests as a distraction that the police aren't there to protect against it.
Correct. And they have masks on as well. Oh, okay. Sounds like coordinated types of things, activity.
Oh, it probably is.
And
the fact to get into a confrontation with police.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the fact that there are these professional types of, they showed in some previous videos and some future ones where these the cargo vans pulled up, people got out of them, maybe 6 people, and inside were all these professionally made posters.
Yep, they're protesters. They're professional protesters.
Exactly. And they were asked, you know, where did you come from? How long did it take you to get here? And they wouldn't answer. And they, you know, blocked the way of the journalist that was asking the questions. You know, why do you have these signs? If you're protesting, typically, you know, it's a sign that you made on your kitchen table.
Yeah.
It's not that
you don't get to go down to Kinko's and have them made.
Exactly. And had, you know, 100 or more posters on professionally made wooden sticks or whatever they're called. You know what I mean? To everybody to pay attention to the signs that are in the crowds.
Yeah. It is absolutely wild that they get away with this. And people are like, oh, but it's a protest. Have you looked at this? This is not a protest. This is a distraction to keep people from seeing what's really going on.
Well, I think that us showing the 50501 and the indivisible, those, you know, the fact that we're going, you know, they're talking about, you know, actual types of warfare, lawfare, whatever you want to call it. As an organization, you know, how to protect yourself from doxing and all types of activity kind of lead you to believe that there's probably some type of criminal intent.
Oh, there's a lot of nefarious intent on that
Uh-huh.
shit.
Exactly.
I mean, it's stuff I do with no nefarious intention involved for typical safety, but the way they word it is very much beyond that. It's not just for personal safety. This is something that, they're out to do harm. They're out to disrupt. And,
Hmm.
and again, he's not wrong for using the term insurrection with it.
And,
This
and
is an insurrection.
and the fact that they're using riot gear is
Hmm.
another piece that is alarming. What
Yeah.
are you wearing, a riot uh, gear face
You
shield for?
only wear that stuff if you assume something bad is going to happen.
Exactly.
So why are you assuming the worst of a protest that's supposed to be peaceful? Again, it's one of those things. People are not thinking it all the way through. They're just reactionary, emotionally stunted, grown toddlers. My personal opinion.
With police. And who's funding all of that? Because they're not cheap.
John,
This is crazy.
This is clearly premeditated. It's not organic. And if you're going to peacefully protest, what do you need a face shield for? What do you need a mask for? What do you need to, hide your identity? Unless you're planning to do something illegal, you're perfectly welcome to in this country to have that kind of redress and walk down the street and protest and have your voice be heard. But if you're going to engage in illegal activity and destruction of private property or harm other individuals, that's why they need to hide their identities. And it's really disgusting.
It is disgusting.
And it needs to be called
Their
out for what it
artwork is disgusting. But this is what they want to happen to all of us. Trust me, once the people that they say they're allied against are gone, who do you think is next? Think it's going to pacify this mob? No, this mob's not going to be pacified until everything looks like Los Angeles.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
I want to add that even though when the entire United States looks like Los Angeles, they'll still be mad because something isn't right. They will find the next thing to complain about.
And
They will never stop complaining.
And this here, Tampon Tim's commencement graduation speech, I believe
Appalling.
is one of the catalysts for the person that worked for him, that Bolter.
Did the killing, yes.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, I absolutely believe it.
I mean, his rhetoric is off the chain. And how, it's one
And he was
thing.
almost vice president.
Yes.
That's the scariest part.
But
they're in unmarked vans wearing masks, being shipped.
Playing devil's advocate here, Crazy B, the left is saying, look at J.D. Vance and Trump. So,
I don't see J.D. Vance giving commencement speeches like this.
True.
I don't see Trump giving commencement speeches like this. I don't see them acting like Maxine Waters.
Right.
Or Nancy Pelosi.
Right, and we're still waiting for anybody to give us some information on behavior from the right that has matched anything that we've seen on the left.
I will gladly edit it. Well, not edit too much, but cut it down to what or whatever needs to be done so we can see just that behavior. I don't even got to add context. Please, let me see that behavior.
You and I talked about this earlier this week, and what were the things that we came up with were perhaps the Proud Boys, and we
Actually, they don't really go around looking for trouble. They're
Exactly.
mostly there to prevent fights from happening, and if it does break out, they end it as quickly as possible.
Right, we talked about Hell's Angels. We talked about...
But they're not exactly political.
Correct.
Hell's Angels are not a political biased group.
And we talked about the KKK, and we were like kind of... We were wavering a little bit on them about if they were left or right today.
I know.
Who else? There was somebody else that we mentioned, didn't we?
The neo-Nazis. Those were the only groups we could think of that would be considered far right.
Yeah, if we're missing anybody, let us know.
And Patriot Front doesn't count. They're just a bunch of fads out there pretending to be. racist. So we're going to let them not be accounted for. They're idiots.
There you go.
So I do apologize. I will not count Patriot Front as an actual thing because they are just a bunch of feds. I'm sorry. I know it sounds horrible. But yeah, they're just a bunch of feds out there in their khakis and their polos. So um, the protesters won't get away with it in the heavily red areas. It only plays in the blue country. That's true.
Being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
This is a level of attack that is was unforeseeable, but it has to be stopped.
You know, the protester.
Oh, he's got a point. The Klan is in it for race, not so much political agenda. So they're not even really politically based. Yeah. There isn't much right-wing extremism that I can really find that's solely politically motivated like these groups. So, but let's try to get through this last minute and a half.
Protesters and the rioters, they're the real problem here. But since they're rioting in sanctuary cities to protect people who snuck into this country illegally, these governors that support sanctuary states and sanctuary cities have to stick up for them. These are their voters who are out there. By the way, the governor of New York is up for re-election in 1 year. Who do you think is going to come out and vote for her if she turns those people away today?
And we have to raise our voices louder and louder.
Raise our voices.
So these governors of these blue states continue to push their sanctuary city policies, refuse to cooperate with ICE. It causes sometimes dangerous situations if people are let out of prison and then ICE has to try to chase them down the streets to detain them. And when you take a look at a lot of the people who have been detained by ICE going into these LA riots, I mean, they're not very nice people.
No, they're not.
Criminals that you likely would not want to have living in your
That's
neighborhood.
right.
Yet these sanctuary city mayors and governors defend the fact that they're allowed to stay without consequence in their cities.
Because nobody in these cities faces any consequence. Even if you're a law-abiding American in a sanctuary city like New York, we've got a world of other progressive laws and initiatives that make sure that you don't go to jail when you still steal something. I sound like Tim Walz here. If you steal something under $1,000 in value, you don't go to jail. It's non-jailable. It's not bailable. There's no consequence for that. Assault, other forms of robbery, theft, none of that stuff gets you thrown in jail either. That's why we've got such outrageous problems with crime on our subway system, with all these people getting assaulted. And that's why these protesters are so emboldened. It's not that they're in a sanctuary city that doesn't agree with federal immigration law at any level, but has a whole bunch of other laws and a robust justice system otherwise. No, these are lawless places from A all the way to B, and that's what the problem is here.
And it is the problem.
And it's crazy.
Absolutely craziness. The problem.
But these lawmakers are voted in time and time again.
Or so we believe they're voted in. Who's really double checking? Who's really double checking this? Now, I know in California, the General Assembly is doing what they can, but they're also limited with manpower and stuff like that, and research to dig out the laws that they use against the politicians. It's not an easy task. It really isn't. But this is again where the problem lies. We assume these people are elected. It appears they are elected. But what if they're really not? What if the cheating is just that good? No one's really paying attention.
Well, look at Kash Patel just coming out saying that the 2020 election did belong to Trump.
We all know that.
Right.
We've all seen the videos of USPS trucks, their entire shipments of votes thrown out into a fucking ditch by rabid workers who seem to think it's okay to disregard the Constitution and democracy when it doesn't go their way. It's not okay. You didn't see any right-wing people doing that when Biden got won. The most they did was go to the Capitol building and say, y'all fucking lied. This is bullshit. And then the mob mentality took over because the few bad actors.
Right.
It only, one for 100 people? Maybe 50 for 1,000 people to turn it into a disaster? I mean, it is literally 0.5% of bad actors compared to the mass crowd is all it takes to turn it into a mob mentality.
Right.
So, yeah, it doesn't take a lot for that crowd. And that's what bothered me. I really just don't like the way it's been going. I don't like the way our system went. And again, I'm not saying everyone in January 6th was an innocent little angel who did no wrong. There are still people locked up because they absolutely did wrong. And Trump did not give them a pardon because they did wrong. But the ones who did nothing seriously wrong, they just got pushed through a door while trying to find their way out of the crowd. You know, that's not fair to them. But I would love to see all those postal workers who threw out the ballots
Yeah,
on their
nothing
way
happened
in.
to them.
Yeah, I want to see them in jail. Oh, but they got quietly arrested and nothing was publicly announced about it. Do you know that happens routinely? A lot of people have been arrested for voter fraud and election fraud, but it doesn't really make the news. That's another problem we have. We don't get to know all the time. It's maybe
Mm.
something local, but they don't ever want to push it beyond that
Right.
because then, oh yeah, we're right. We're not crazy. We're not conspiracy theorists. There is a lot of election fraud out there. It's just after the fact. I don't like it. Maybe I'm weird. I just don't like it.
Is this the end of it?
Oh yeah, that's the end of that one.
Okay.
And we've got 15 minutes left.
I have 10.
Oh, you have 10 minutes on your end?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it is. Whoops. So
What
let
else
me
do
see
we
if I
have?
have anything. Oh, we have that chick singing the national anthem in Spanish.
Oh, let's do that. That was a
Where
big
did that
shit.
go? Yeah, this chick, you know, if it was for a legitimate unity thing, I wouldn't be mad, but she did it out of defiance and to be a bitch. So, yeah, sorry, Chica, you're in trouble. Here we go.
It's okay. We are going to do the song in English today, so I'm not sure if that wasn't or if that wasn't relayed.
Alright, bear with me because I'm still very shooken up and emotional, and Anyways, I just got home from singing the national anthem in Spanish at the Dodgers game, and it is the official Star Spangled Banner in Spanish. You can Google it. So I'll just read it to you really quick, but it was officially commissioned in 1945 by the U.S. State Department as a part of President Franklin Roosevelt's Good Neighbor policy to foster a better relationship with Latin America. Because of this, I didn't think I would be met with any sort of no, especially because we're in LA and with everything happening. And I've sang the national anthem many times in my life, but there was today out of all days.
Mother.
I could not. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just could not believe when she walked in and told me no. But I just felt like I needed to do it. Para mi gente.
She did it out of defiance and spite, not out of good being a good neighbor. Good neighbors wouldn't send drugs over. Good neighbors wouldn't send criminals over. Well, hold on. I'm sure there's some people who would beg to differ on that. But again, if it was literally like if we were having an issue with Mexico and or like maybe Mexico had just had an earthquake or something and we were sending aid, I could see this being applicable. But she flat out mentioned with everything that's going on in LA. That shows it was pure defiance against anything more than being neighborly and to represent unity. Okay, I'm sorry. She's full of shit.
Go ahead, let her continue.
For anyone who's been following me for a while, you know, everything I do is out of love, like, out of love, good energy out of love. And I'm proud of myself for doing that today. Because my parents are immigrants. And they've been citizens like my whole life at this point. They got documented really early, but
well, good for
I
them.
just can't imagine them being ripped away from me. Even at this age, like, let alone like a little
my God.
kid. Like,
If they're American, they're not getting ripped away.
Anyways, sorry. This is a whole different side of me that y'all never see, but thank you for all the sweet messages. I love you guys so much. Safe to say I'm never allowed in that stadium ever again. But I love you guys so much. I love you guys.
Okay, again,
Since
FDR
when she did this,
made it legal to do.
Right.
They told her no because of all the riots and stuff. And she's like, fuck you, I'm doing it anyways.
Well,
right?
after this happened, a lot more information came out, and many commentators obviously had, differing opinions on what she did. Now I don't know the total number of people that were in the stadium, but they said that there were approximately 30,000 Latinos that were in the audience, and that's why she did it. Okay, so one of my questions is, yes, I know the Star Spangled Banner, so obviously when the music plays, I know what it is and what it's about, but she's singing in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish, so does that matter at all?
But again, FDR said this was perfectly acceptable to do.
But she didn't
FDR
have
made it legal.
permission. Right, but she
But
didn't. Right, she
I
didn't.
know.
Right.
She violated what the Dodgers stadium wanted.
Correct. And not only that, but now she's barred from the stadium, and probably now will carry with her that negativity surrounding her.
She ruined her singing career.
That's correct.
By being stubborn and
Mhm.
bullheaded. And like Art says, that's like singing an Italian opera in English in Italy.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it was really stupid to do. It doesn't matter whether it was legal or not. It was bad timing, bad optics. It
Bad
looks
taste. It was in bad taste, correct?
yes. Like
And
seriously.
and the other piece, the issue that I have with this again goes back to the entire flying of the Mexican flag that we have seen in LA and other
Oh yeah.
countries. You were in America.
Oh, before we go, I got to show this one last video.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm not even going to do this. You guys are just going to have to tolerate this for a minute. Hold on. This is a short video. Watch this. Okay. I love what this guy does. It is spoken in English. The closed captions are in Spanish because that's the way they did it. They wanted to get the message across to Spanish speakers. But listen to this because this actually ties in almost with what you're saying about them flying the flag here.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this shit.
This video is in Tijuana. The Central Americans showed up in Tijuana. Nobody likes illegal immigration. Let's see what the Mexicans.
Oh, I forgot to hit transition. My bad. Okay, you should be able to hear it now.
This video is in Tijuana.
No,
the Central
still can't
Americans
hear it.
showed up in Tijuana. Nobody likes illegal immigration. Let's see what the Mexicans.
What in the fuck is going on?
In
Can anybody else in the chat hear it or not?
I'm not sure. It might be a only you can't hear it thing again.
Obviously. Well, I'll go out and come back.
Okay, and then I'll hit play because this is actually really good. Yeah, Four Corners can hear it. One moment. I like this guy. He calls out some major hypocrisy that is not being spoken about on national news, here or anywhere else. So let's see if we can get D back. Okay, there's Ms. D. Okay, let's try hearing it again because they can all hear it. Now volume's as high as it goes, and I didn't lower the volume when editing. So, all right, are you able to hear me, Miss D?
I can hear you.
Okay, let's try this again.
This video is in Tijuana. The Central Americans showed
Can
up
you
in
hear it?
Tijuana. Nobody likes illegal immigration. Let's see what the Mexicans in Mexico did to the Central Americans, please. Shoot it, Rob.
This is Mexicans trying to run out Central Americans who were making their way to northern Mexico to America or moving in. They called this an invasion. But let's keep watching because he'll break it down and translate the signs.
What's this, Ricky? This is in Tijuana when a Central American caravan came to Tijuana. And look at the signs. Well, you'll see them right now, Pat. It's only a minute-long video. No a la invasión. No to the invasion. No a la invasión. This is in Mexico. This is not LA.
Those are the Mexicans on the other
Mexicans.
on that side, yeah.
Look how they're treating the Central Americans. Puro Tijuana cabrones. Look. Primero nuestros pobres, no invasión. Tijuana, no, primero México, first America.
Give us a little soul
Inmigrantes, no, sí, ilegales, no la invasión. Mexico does this, you hypocrites. That's what pisses me off. Mexico does this. You want to, racist, fascist. If you don't support the cause, then you're implicit. Silence is implicit. What about this shit?
Yeah, he's got a good point about the hypocrisy of Mexico. I didn't know that video existed. They said no coming over from anywhere else to Mexico. But boy, if we don't accept them, all hell breaks loose. Most Americans have no idea how ethnocentric most countries in the world are. But we're the bad ones. Yeah. Uh-huh. Just wanted to add that last video in before we call it a day. And it does tie to what you were saying, Dee, about them waving their flag here, but they don't want anyone coming over their border.
Right.
So, yeah, all these people starting these riots are hypocrites.
But this stuff is not being played anywhere else so that it can be seen.
Why do you think I'm playing it? That came from Patrick Bet Davis's podcast. That came from his podcast. He was putting it out there, but I didn't hear about it till someone sent it to me.
Right.
And you guys probably didn't know this video existed. But it does. It is so absolute bogus. Like you're saying, they're waving their flag on American soil, acting like they have a right to the place. I don't think people also realize that all of these men who are of fighting age, this is very likely all it takes is for them to get enough weapons together. And didn't they steal some stuff from a base over in California? Uniforms, tripods, stuff like that?
Yes, ma'am.
I swear I remember that.
Get out of the way.
They could easily try starting some shit. They're not going to succeed, but they could try.
Well, we shall see.
Yep.
You know, they claim that this entire summer is going to be nothing but protests.
Oh, reminds of us 2020.
Uh-huh. Anyway, don't forget to like, follow, comment, share, subscribe, all of that, please. That does us a great favor. Gets our algorithm boosted, and we definitely need the boost. So Sunday and Monday, Crazy V has her questions that need answers. And then Tuesday through Friday, hopefully we get to go back to our regularly programming, but we shall see what the weekend brings us. I'm sure
Yeah.
more craziness.
Ugh. We shall see. We shall see. Right. And
Correct.
God knows what's going to happen before Tuesday.
Yep.
Ugh. I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it.
It'll be all right.
So.
Anyway, I'm done for the day. I just got my whole forearm skin ripped up because the dog dragged me almost through the door. If it isn't the child, it's the dog.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well, have a
I
nice
say
day.
ice it, clean it up really good.
I know. I've had
Typical
episodes
wound
on
care.
it, but it's always something. It never ends.
I know. And I gotta grab my nebulizer. I'm wheezy.
Yeah, this weather has not been, I don't know about everybody else, but again, rain most of the day today. It's gonna get ready to rain shortly, and I believe we're gonna get some thunderstorms again. It's getting old very quick. I'd rather it be snow, actually. Rather have snow than rain.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be
Mhm.
nice.
And I don't care if it's 3 or 4 feet of it. Shut everything down, then everything's calm. But all of this mold and everything is really, and pollen. You walk outside, the cars are just covered in it.
Ugh. It is hard to
Yeah,
breathe too.
it
It's
is.
like, damn.
No, yes, ma'am. All right. Well, everybody have a good weekend, and we shall see you, I guess, on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. We can do that.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. I'm making sure I got all of our stuff carried over for the description.
Oh, by the way, anybody in the chat on Wednesday, I believe it was, we said that we would put some links in the Discord, and for the love of us, neither one of us remember what it was. If anybody in the chat does know, would you please send us a DM or just leave a general comment in the main chat for us, and we'll get the link put up. But for love nor money, neither one of us can remember what the hell it is we said we would do. So
Oh
the
yeah, that just requires too much thinking
uh-huh.
power,
Yeah.
and my brain is not with it. I literally slept most of the day,
Mm, I
and
wish
I
I
will
could.
probably be going
Yeah.
back to sleep shortly.
Yeah. All that is in my head is wah, and I love you, you love me. Ugh, it's gonna be a long prison sentence.
It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be. I could be in Alcatraz, right?
You could be 50 years stuck raising him instead of just 3.
Well, knock on wood that will never happen. So
Just gonna say,
Yeah.
Things could
Oh,
always
yeah.
be worse.
Good news. On Sunday, my mother-in-law turns 94 years old.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. In pretty good health. She still gets around. So we're looking forward to celebration with her.
That is absolutely
Mhm.
awesome.
Hard to believe. And I feel like we're on borrowed time with them. So
And that
every
makes
day,
sense.
yeah, every day is a blessing.
So, all right, everything is together.
We're
The
good.
descriptions are taken care of. Oh, the vibrating chicken link. That's what it
Is
was.
that what it was?
Yes, the vibrating chicken pillow.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Vanilla.
All right, we'll find that. Four Corners, your mom is 94 as well. Congratulations. Yep, and Dad is 93 and he'll be 94 in August.
Itchy, itchy, itchy. I'm itchy. Okay. So, yep. Okay, I will make sure one of us grabs that link.
Yeah, I
from
have it.
Amazon.
I'll pull it up. We'll have the vibrating chicken. I believe everything. If you go down and look, there's the dinosaur and everything else with it. And also just scroll down further and you'll, I don't know if we want to say there's the vibrating hand, but that's available too. Now that's placed on the baby's stomach. If you're an adult, I don't know, maybe you could use
I
it
don't
in
want
other
to know.
body parts.
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Okay.
Vanilla pie. All hearts.
Oh, fudge. All right, everybody have a good weekend.
Yep, y'all. Stay safe, stay sane. Attempt at the sober part. And we will catch y'all on the next one.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, Blue.